to Soul Talk Season 2. Thank you, Zarin ma'am, so much for coming here and honoring us with your presence. So, today we would like to discuss a lot of things and specifically your new book, Living with Adi, a fiction book on specific autism. So, ma'am, tell me, how did you got inspired and how this particular? So, mostly when we see people writing about such books, either they have gone through some personal experiences, either they are parents of an autistic child, or either there is some specific autistic children or some specific neurodiverse child in their family or in the education system. So, what inspired you, ma'am? What was the story behind this book?
Yes. Thank you, Navita, for having me on your show. Um, for me, I guess I have been in education for more than 3 decades. And so I've had so many different kinds of children, some of whom have been on the autism spectrum. And therefore, I guess I have collated all those experiences somewhere in the back of my head. And then this idea just came forth to write something light-hearted, you know, which really presents not just a child with autism, but a child who is different. And as I truly believe that every single child is different, and it is the educator who has to reach out and understand every single child to make that connection.
Great. So, ma'am, like you said, you have been in the field of education for 30 years. Any specific experience with such child you had and it just switched you to a personality who would like to be more keen about knowing such things and would you like to make a change in the society?
I don't think I want to mention any specific child.
Absolutely, absolutely. No ways we
Yeah,
would like you to specify any child.
right, right. But seeing various children, the challenges they face, I think the fact that, you know, often teachers don't want to look at the backstory of every child, and they just want to see it as a behavioral problem or a discipline issue. And in my mind, I have always tried to look for the causes that makes any child do whatever they choose to do, to understand that, to reach out to that, and then to emotionally build a connect. So I think that's what I've tried to do through this book.
Ma'am, during your time as the editor of the classroom, how did you decide while the topics focusing on children's problems to cover? How did these articles help address those issues and positively impact the children involved?
Okay, so this was a newsletter for teachers, and we had our focus on SEL, which is social emotional learning.
Yes.
The second focus was on innovative practices in education. The third was on disseminating information on workshops or conferences around the country. This is before the internet, right?
Correct.
And also, then I guess it was also on collaboration, how we can do things together. And inspirational school educators, you know, we would feature those to inspire others to learn something from their ways.
So, ma'am, in 30 years, is the it is just the autistic topic which inspired you to write this book, or various other experiences you are also planning another book, or you have some other things in your mind that you are planning for this?
So um I don't know if I have another book around this, But of course, I have written from time to time on various issues, whether it is school leadership, whether it is emotional bonding with children, innovative practices. So, on various platforms, I have written different things which are my beliefs and convictions in education. Because I do not, yes, of course, the world is changing, and this is a different generation. I agree with all that. But I feel that is a challenge that every generation has.
Absolutely.
So I think we just have to deal with it and find new ways, perhaps, of engaging with children.
Absolutely, ma'am. So, ma'am, do you think in this digital era, everybody is loving the technology, everybody wants gadgets, all the children wants gadget. So, ma'am, do you think that maybe because of so much awareness about and so much availability of such technology, this particular autism has also increased in the children?
Um, we don't know. Okay. Um, I would not say technology has aggravated the incidence of autism, but yes, studies say that pollution and stress, and the stress could be linked to technology, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so these are two things which studies show. At the same time, I will say that technology makes it easier for children who are neurodivergent because they need not go to a classroom. If
Absolutely.
that is something that doesn't suit them, they could learn at home with the audio and video learning material available.
Correct.
So we have to, I think, always look for what are the advantages and zero in on those.
So, ma'am, in your 30 years career, what are the some type of key challenges you have observed in maintaining your own mental well-being, specifically in today's educational landscape where demands and changes of technology are so high?
Yeah, yeah. That's a very good question. And, you know, I always feel that as an educator, you don't have to wear a mask. you know you don't need to stand on a pedestal and say, this is what I am and this is what I want you to do, and those kinds of things, which nobody wants to listen to, right? Whether you are a parent or a teacher.
Absolutely.
But I think if you are yourself with all your vulnerabilities, with all your challenges, and you're willing to share that, that I am also going through a difficult time in whatever manner. I think the moment the children see that you are transparent and honest, that builds trust.
Yes.
So I have seen that that helps to build the trust both ways, and then it becomes easy to work. You know, so I have always looked at leading my life by my inner compass and uh, taking sort of examining the day that has gone by. What are the mistakes that I have made? You know, what are the things I can do which are different? And yes, there are times when the demands are too many, because especially when you're head of school, the management, the parents, the teachers, right? Everybody has expectations, and sometimes those are at cross purposes. But I think when you make this a daily practice, that I'm going to see how I can do a better job. And two, most important, if I make the child the center, you know, and do what is best for the child, I think the other things can fall into place.
Absolutely, ma'am. Totally agree on this. And my last question, ma'am, would be your book, Living with Adi. It definitely provides a lot of experiences of an autistic teenager. So, ma'am, what are some key misconceptions you have encountered about autism, and how can literature and education help foster a more inclusive understanding of neurodiversity in the society today?
Right. Uh, so I would say mostly, whether it is the family or the school, um, they look at neurodivergence just as an excuse, you know, that this is just a child who is misbehaving. This is a child who is not trying to fit in. This is a child who has come to test my patience. This is a child who is making life difficult for his or her peers. And unfortunately, while, according to the new education policy, teachers are supposed to be well aware of these issues, right? Teachers
But
are,
they are not ready yet.
yeah, they are not ready to accept, and therefore they also make these excuses. But I think when there is an environment where the school builds this kind of acceptance for all kinds of students, and that we are all in this together. And yes, there will be times when it's difficult, but that doesn't mean we give up. We still look for the best in every child, and we try and work together and also educate other children about the neurodivergent child, right?
Yes,
So then the bullying and other aspects, negative aspects, can come down.
absolutely. So, Zareen ma'am, it was wonderful session. I was totally enlightened by your experiences and the things which you told to us and to the subscribers. I hope they would understand this situation, and specifically the teachers, if they are listening to this particular session, I hope they understand and try to make themselves more aware about the situation. So, thank you so much, Zareen ma'am, for coming here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Navita, once again for having